Well, a few minutes from now, we don't want you to ever look at this the same way again.
Once a week, St. Louis Proud highlights the reasons we should take pride in St. Louis. And you may consider what we have here, just a lowly brick, something we might use. But Ray Preston explains there is nothing lowly about it.
A word of advice: don't ever say to Nene Harris that a brick is a brick.
You horrified me saying that. A brick is a brick is a brick. Oh my goodness, not at all.
If you want to know anything about St. Louis,
15 books I've written on St. Louis history and architecture.
she has written and lectured and led tours all about St. Louis, its neighborhoods, its people, and she knows all about its bricks. More than a century ago, a major brick manufacturer in St. Louis
They offered over 200 kinds of brick.
could give you just about any brick you could want. And Harris says to a bricklayer, a wall was not just a wall.
For them, it was a canvas that they were making beautiful designs across that canvas.
So we asked her to show us.
Look over there and you see the granary.
Our first stop is the old Lemp Brewery Complex, the silo.
We look at silos today when we travel and they're boring, they're ugly. This is subtle and beautiful and really is like a castle.
Look at what's called corbelling. Basically, projecting the bricks from the walls. It creates depth and shadow. Harris says in the 1800s, St. Louis Union bricklayers had to master 7 different types of arches. In other cities, it was only 2 or 3.
Our bricklayers learned through the union how to turn a brick wall into a work of art.
There is the basket weave pattern. Different colored bricks are used for effect. Patterns emerge from the brickwork. And it wasn't just the well-to-do that could afford the fancy brickwork.
In St. Louis, the modest homes, the homes of the craftsmen themselves, were beautifully constructed.
To appreciate the work, Harris says you can't just drive through a neighborhood. You have to get out of your car. She says some years ago, she drove a group of people through Soulard.
And they were unimpressed. So I just waited a bit, and later on I took them for a walk through the neighborhood. They were utterly charmed. Everything is designed for the pedestrian on the sidewalk.
She says bricklayers have left behind an extraordinary heritage, one that is often underappreciated.
Look at this house. I just love this one.
And she says that may put the brickwork at risk.
These were meant to last 100 years or 200 years. They were meant to be cared for, but to go on for generations.
She says she believes years ago, bricklayers knew that what they were doing was more than just laying bricks. They knew their art would last.
It was their job to build something great, not for 20 or 30 years, but to build something great for generations. And we have it right here. We have it all over the streets of our city.
And that is why you don't say to Nene Harris that a brick is a brick is a brick. In St. Louis, Ray Preston, News 4.